Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. As Muslims living in the West or in non-Muslim majority countries, we quite often are asked to explain what Islam is, or at least to answer the question, what is Islam? And more often than not, we say Islam is submission to the will of God, which is a beautiful answer. It covers a lot of what Islam means. And what I would like to do today is to get a little deeper into what we mean when we say Islam is the submission to the will of God. First of all, what is submission? Submission is to relinquish our own will in favor of the will of another, in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the will of Allah? Well, the will of Allah has been explained by scholars as manifesting itself in two aspects. One aspect is the will to create, the will of creation, and the other aspect is the will of legislation, the will of command. Some of the scholars, of course, they mean this meaning, or these two concepts or two aspects of the will of Allah are from the Quran, in the Quran from beginning to end. Allah is the one who creates, Allah is the one who commands. And some scholars use the ayah number 54 in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7, as summarizing this concept by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, after describing the creation of the heavens and the earth and so on, He says, أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ. Indeed, to Him belongs the creation and the command. So the creation is Allah creates what happens, decides what happens, and the concept of the qadr or destiny, and Allah legislates. How do we submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the aspect of Allah the creator? How do we submit to Allah's will in His creation? Well, first of all, the submission to the will of Allah in the aspect of creation is to be content by the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created things, including myself, including my own. Allah has chosen, has decided, has willed to create me in a certain form, in a certain with a determined gender, with certain skin color, or certain body form, or certain general health status, and so on and so forth, to be content with that. To say Allah has great wisdom, has infinite wisdom, He created me this way, I am content with the way He created me. I am content also, or should be content with the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is manifesting His overseeing and actually of managing the affair or the determining the affairs of the universe, all the creation of the heavens and the earth, and what happened in the earth that I live in terms of things that I may like and enjoy, and things that could seem to me like they are harmful, like natural disasters, or things that happened that seem to negatively impact the lives of people in the way I see it. To be content with that is to know that everything that happens within this will of Allah, and the will of Allah is He has the infinite wisdom. He is Al-Hakim, He is the most wise, and what He creates as part of the test for His creation, for us, for the human beings, to go through this life and pass this test. So I submit the will of Allah in seeing or always being convinced 100%, no doubt, of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind all the events that happens in His domain in the universe, meaning my own creation as well as all the events that take place. Submitting to the will of legislation is by following the do's and don'ts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me through His prophets, from the beginning of Adam alayhi salam to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we have this in our hand. We have the list, complete, full list of commands to follow and things to avoid. To follow and to avoid, do's and don'ts. This is how to submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts, in our deeds, in our actions, day to day, and to, inshallah, to fulfill this test by submitting completely to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah enable us to benefit from what we say and what we hear. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.